My name is Ken Pilgrim, and my involvement with the Black Theatre Workshop started a long time ago. I think from 1966, when we started. Well, it wasn't the Black Theatre Workshop. The whole thing started really with the Trinidad and Tobago Association, and out of that, we were doing readings with Johnny Cayon at McGill University. Leon St. Martin, Violet, Boulder, and Clary. We were supplying like background noises, birds whistling like birds and making noises as a backup for his poems, which he read. Johnny Cayon is unfortunately, he died about 5 years ago. And that's where was my involvement with the Trinidad and Tobago Association. You know, everybody had the association, Jamaica Association, Trinidad and Tobago Association, the East Caribbean Association. So we had the Trinidad and Tobago Association. We held our meetings on Drummond Street in the university there. Johnny Cayon, he had this idea of doing what is called Calypsopera, which is a number of, he dramatized a lot of calypsos. He took the calypsos and made a sort of a masquerade on stage for that. We did it at the Review Theatre with Ali Peterson. And I think that's when a lot of people became involved because we were calling people in the community because we needed this. This was a cast of about 30 or 25, 30, 40 people. You know, so this is how a lot of people heard about the theater.
My name is Maureen Thomas, and I became involved with the Black Theatre Workshop, I think it was around 1971-72. And the first thing I did with the workshop was, I believe, something by Gratien Gelina, and it was a translation, and it was called Yesterday the Children Were Dancing, I believe. I'm not quite 100% sure. Someone will correct me on that. And I stayed with them for a few years. I got involved with some of their readings, also did How Now, Black Man. And so that's how I started.
How Now, Black Man is the one that really brought us a more serious side, because that dealt with really going into the inner workings of the mind of the black man, how we came out of slavery, how we felt, how it affected us, and all that. And he did a very interesting thing, which Jeff Henry is the one who started off by having us equate that to like an animals being born. So we had to lie on the floor and make the movements like snakes and like alligators and so on, to show that we were coming out of this cocoon or something and evolving into this. It was a very well received play. How Now, Black Man really gave us that push, because we did it at the Centaur, and the Centaur was still is, I guess, the largest English theater, and that gave us a lot of exposure. The actual founding members was people like Clary, Violet, Jackie, David Edgecombe, Walter Elliott, Joe Thomas, Errol Sitterhall, Joy Sitterhall, and myself, of course, Ken Pilgrim. The real Black Theatre Workshop, that's when we sat together and formed the group and then applied for the charter. Clary was the president for most of the early stages, and I was the vice president. I wore a number of hats. I was the business manager, vice president, and because in those days very few people had a car, I was the only one of the few who owned a car. So I was transportation, I was everything. So it was, everybody did what they can to make this thing work.
My memories, I remember it being a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I remember that I would leave my boring 9-to-5 job and I'd go to the theater, and I was very shy at the time, and I still am, very shy, very introverted. And I remember Jeff Henry saying to me, we had a dance number, and I'm dancing, and I can dance, but for whatever reason I couldn't dance then. And I remember Jeff saying to me, Maureen, move your hips or whatever. And then finally one day when I was moving, undulating, whatever, the right way, he said, oh, Maureen has found her hips and whatever. No, I remember and feeling really energized when I was there and feeling creative.
It's strange. Most of our audiences were about, I would say, 60, 70% white and 30% black. Because we didn't have that, the population wasn't very, very large, and the average Canadian, he's accustomed going to the theater, so that was when this was something new. The experience was new. The plays were different, and we did a lot of dancing and singing while we dramatized. Because most West Indian plays I don't know about today always had these large casts, and you always had some market scene or somebody dancing and some as we say bacchanal in the plays. So it was a different take on theater. The opening night of See Shango, everyone turned up, and we had rehearsed, and we had a major cutlass fight. We were using real cutlasses on the stage, and there was this and this was based on a white woman coming into a village in Trinidad and disrupting the village because all the men wanted to go after this white woman and blah, 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 this whole thing. And the opening night at the Review Theatre, there was one person in the audience.
Oh, you're kidding.
One person. He didn't do the publicity properly.
Oh, no.
He had misspelled the name of the show. So we had to go at it. It was Connie Riley's mother. Was sitting in the audience.
The only one.
The only one. And we were all dressed up and ready to go. And we were waiting, and nobody's coming. So they had to cancel the show. And then we of course, the following night, people got, we put the publicity out, and we did it. But that was an interesting experience.
And you said your memory isn't good.
Well, it was a lot of fun, but a lot of hard work, man. We worked hard, and I remember our first grant, I think, that we got from the government was $3,000, and in our ignorance we didn't know how it worked, so we would give the players an honorarium of say $100, 75, for the work, and then we would sign the checks and give it back, so that we would have enough money to do the next play. And what we were trying to do was to please the government, because we wanted to appear as though we were so efficient, and we were, because we did it within that budget, until we were told that is not how it works. If you don't use up the money that they give you, the government will never give you another penny. So you'd be stuck with $3,000, So we had to learn the game. The
other thing I remember about Black Theatre Workshop is the heated discussions. That's one of the things that's always stayed with me. You and
Mr. Bain.
Ken and Clary, they were always at each other, and Jeff also was quite hot-headed. So here I am, and so here I am, my first time in a theater group, and I'm hearing all these voices yelling and screaming at each other, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what am I doing here? I really don't want to be part of it. But then I realized they're just discussing, they're just talking, they're just exchanging ideas and to make the play work. And Ken was teaching drama to high school students. High school or Seja?
High school.
High school students for a number of years. He's since retired, and I've been telling him that he needs to start a theater group for us older people.
Me limping and...
well, you can limp and still teach.
I have to thank the Black Theatre Workshop for giving me the first scholarship. I was in my final year at Concordia, where they had joined together, and I did my final year at Loyola, and they gave me a scholarship to finish off. So that's my claim to fame. I got the first